I am now live. Now, if in fact you get to see this video, give me a moment to copy and paste some things down here. I'm working at a disadvantage here because I have been trying to get online for the last half hour. And normally I post all my information up on the videos regarding the videos themselves, the live streams themselves. So just give me a moment before you say hello, please. And I have about 8 more topics that I wish to have about 8 more uh, things, including the link for the video above that I'd like to post before I start leaving speaking with anybody. Thank you. Okay. One of the things that I'm going to suggest that you go do is go to a village. Village people in the Philippines, and I'm providing the link immediately above this. And go to their channel and look at the documentary, I guess you could call it, that the woman made, the woman, aka Village People Philippines, made, and you can judge for yourselves at that point whether or not something was inappropriate with soliciting funds in the Philippines. The woman who runs the channel, Village People Philippines, happens to be quite quite the fountain of information when it comes to law, and there's a reason for that. You might want to ask her what that reason is, why she understands the law so well. But I myself will not give you that information. You'll have to go to the woman's channel. We'll make some great videos about the Philippines. You'll have to go to the woman's channel and ask her for yourself why she understands the law so well. So right now, what I'm going to give you are some reasons that you can be blacklisted in the Philippines. Okay? And if you don't think any of these are important or have to do with you, if you come to the Philippines, you should have a pretty good understanding that the rules here in the last 6 months or so, for some reason, have changed. So these rules, these numbered information, pieces of information that I'm giving you, are pretty much the new rules. And I'm also going to explain to you how you can save approximately 33% on the cost of your immigration fee, your bi-monthly immigration fee. So if I forget, I didn't post it in these pieces of information, but if you remind me, because I'm going to forget, there is a way to save 33% of your immigration fee. But in order to do that, what you have to walk up to the immigration officer and say is, before they hand you your paperwork, before they hand you your paperwork, you have to explain to them that you do not wish to be put into the express lane. You wish your paperwork to go non-express. Okay, now you might think, well, if I forget to tell the gentleman or the woman at the immigration window, I'll tell them when I come back after the paperwork is filled out, and I'm going to explain it to you. You might mention it again, and the response is probably going to be, no, sir, try again next time. This time you will pay full price. And that has been my experience. And I have been going for quite a while, and they know me quite well. And I forgot to tell them that I do not wish to be on the express lane, and they processed my paperwork at full price. So it's nothing personal, but it is the new rules that they are following. So I just explained the immigration policy to you. In order to save 33%, you have to tell them in advance that you wish to be put on the non-express lane. At which point, what will happen is they will process your paperwork at the desk, and you will pay them 1,900 and some change pesos, not the 2,000 or 3,000 peso price. So you'll save about 33%. So now the topic, now anybody that would like to comment on anything, now if you didn't read what I wrote, I'm going to explain this to you. If you didn't read what I wrote, the first rule of one of the rules of my channel that I do not allow to be broken is I know a lot of people think that I'm a clown and this, that, and the other thing. I got news for you. I know exactly what I'm saying at all times. One of the things I don't allow is speculation on. If you accuse somebody of something and you have a video, or you have, I don't need these. If you accuse somebody of doing something wrong, accuse somebody of soliciting prostitution, accuse somebody of whatever, I will not allow that unless you post proof. I will tell you, you need to post proof on this. I might give you 48 hours. And at the end of 48 hours, I just block you. I'm not interested in having another conversation with you. If you're not smart enough to post proof of what you accuse somebody of, then don't do it. And the reason that I state this unequivocally now is because people have done that to me and I didn't like it. And the people who did it to me, I'm never going to like. I'm never going to forgive them for allowing the comments they made about Daisy May and her mother in regards to killing their spouses, and allowing it to be on the channel and even egging it on. I'm not going to allow you to speculate without proof. And I'm never going to forgive you for doing so. So the people that come here to troll, when Mr. Nuts gets here, Mr. Nuts gets here, he will be the wrench. And in the meantime, I'll be the wrench, but I will not discuss any of the trolling comments with you. I'm just going to immediately block you. Go Bobo, if you're out there, you are blocked. And if you're not blocked because it came up on a new live stream, the first time I see your name, you get blocked. He's a troll, and he cohabitates with every piece of garbage on YouTube. So there's your shout out, Mr. Go Bobo, and Mr. Go Bobo's sister. You will not be allowed to comment on my channel, so go someplace else right now. Now I see Jack Thompson. And Jack Thompson is a long-term subscriber and also a subscriber on my Patreon account. Thank you, Jack. If you notice, I'm talking quite in a systematically and intensely level tone of voice, because this topic is one of my pet peeves about people making accusations about other people. And this is when I get serious. I can't tell you what happens when I get serious. But what I will tell you is that when I get serious, it's time to start listening to the words that come out of my mouth. So good morning, brother Jack. Okay, now let's talk about, well, it seems that everybody's making a video about a foreigner in the Philippines. Okay. I can honestly say I have not, in the last several years, made a comment on a foreigner in the Philippines videos, or given him a thumbs up or given him a thumbs down. Kind of remain neutral because I can't prove one way or the other if the man has done something that is inappropriate. Okay, now when I start using big words and talking slow, it's time to pay attention. Okay, what I can tell you, all right, Jack, I'll send you a wrench right now. All right, add, add a moderator, add a moderator. I think that's it. Thank you, Jack. What I can tell you about a foreigner in the Philippines is that the speculation on that man's channel is running wild, running rampant, and for good cause. No one seems to understand the laws in the Philippines. And I had the longest standing legal battle in the state of Florida for a real estate dispute. 7 years. It was over 7 years by the time I hired a second lawyer. I have a pretty good understanding of the law. And actually, I just spent about a week with a gentleman who's developing condos in the Philippines, and he happens to be a corporate lawyer. And he explained to me that my theory of the difference between, quote, law in capital letters, LAW, and, quote, in capital letters, argument, my understanding of law and argument was exactly right. And why was it right? Because I have a 7+ year lawsuit in Florida, and I understand argument versus law. My opinion about a foreigner in the Philippines is that he is giving, quote unquote, argument to somehow shine light on his situation. And that may very well work. But if the Philippines government decides to abide by, quote, law, 10,000 pages of argument doesn't negate one piece of law. No one can dispute this. I had 1,700 pages of argument and files dating back to the 1800s on my real estate dispute, which should have never happened, and I should have won hands down. Except there was an additional problem in my real estate dispute that no one had ever encountered. The geodesic survey marks between my property and the property next door, there were two of them taken, one in the 1800s and one in the 1960s, and they conflicted with one another. So being that no one had ever, besides the encroachment of my property, and besides the fact that two of the people that owned the property on my property and next door had been disappeared, and the fact that the last person to own my property, 2 people back, was in prison for fraud, and his statement couldn't be used in a court of law with any sustenance to it. My 1,700 pages of argument and previous law would have won, but the opposing lawyer had less than 10 pages of statements to my 1,700 pages of pictures and more than 10 surveys, and then other surveys that were taken for properties adjacent to mine on either side of the disputing property line. And all of my 1,700 pages at the end of the day, when we were in the preliminary aspects before trial, all of those 1,700 pages were negated by 2 sentences. One sentence stated the law, and the other sentence was the link for the law. And the judge said, now you'll have to go to trial. So I understand the law a little bit better than most. I certainly understand argument, because arguments, only 3 individual 6-page arguments, he charged me $18,000 for. And at the end of the day, the total bill was $38,000. And then I had to hire another lawyer. So, and all of the argument and all of the court proceedings for 2.5, God, the first 2.5 years, I thought I was going to win. The lawyer knew we were never going to win. I really thought. And then after that, I couldn't get out of the case. So I understand a little bit more about the law. So what I believe Terrence and Beth have is a good argument and nothing more. I'll preface that with something I put into the 10 things, the 10 sentences with numbered sentences. If I decided I wanted to become a lawyer, this is a valid statement. And the gentleman who's the corporate lawyer who's developing property in the Philippines, him and I we spent 7 hours together one day and for the day before. But we spent 7 hours together on a beach in the Philippines. And when I explained to him what my belief on law and argument were, he said, it's exactly right, Mike. You might have, there was another word, an additional word, advocacy of argument, something. There was another word he used that I forgot. But he said, I'm right. Okay. And then when the example I gave him, the preface that I'm going to give you is, if you decide to become a lawyer and you sign up for law school, and the law school is 4 years because you're some sort of genius, and you graduate law school and you are now applying for your law degree, it does not allow you to put the word lawyer in front of your name on a placard on an office that you have rented. Until you get that license, you cannot put the word, preface your name with doctor if you go to medical school, or lawyer before you get the license. This is the predicament that Terrence and Beth are in. He did apply for his license after the fact, which is well documented on YouTube, but he didn't receive the license. So now his case is going to go to maybe an arbitrator or a judge. And that arbitrator or judge is going to take into consideration the good deeds that Terrence and Beth have done, and he's going to take into consideration the law. I will not even begin to take a guess at what's going to happen. If you would like to see the whole entire process of the law according to the Philippines law from someone that understands Philippines law, I suggest you go to, quote, Village People Philippines, Terrence Flannery, Saint or Sinner. Okay, that's a video they just posted. Now, I hope she comes here and posts her video links. But if she doesn't, I have it at the very top of the page. So I'm going to just stop for a moment and read the comments. Okay. Yeah. Well, contrite is something I'm not real good at, but I'm trying my best right now. Hello, Michael from Brandon, Canal, Carpata. Carpati. I can't see without my glasses on, but good morning, Brandon. Antonio War. How can you say argument when Terrence is not saying what his defense is going to be? He stated that he is not saying what the lawyer is putting forward. What he is saying on his channel, personal. May I think, okay, I'm not critiquing your English or your spelling. Didn't you understand that I'm giving you my opinion? Opinion is different than argument and law also, Antonio. So if you have come here to defend Terrence and Beth, I said it in the comments, you can post anything you like. I suggest that you put your statement in a better, frame your statement better. How can you say argument when Terrence is not saying what his defense is going to be? All Terrence, in my opinion, I'll answer your question. I understand what you're asking. How can I say Terrence is going to put up an argument defense? I can say that because according to Village People Philippines and the documents that she posted in regards to the law about soliciting funds, I'll give you a brief synopsis of Village People Philippines information that's been posted on her video, it quite unequivocally states what the law is. It quite unequivocally states, and I don't remember which section, you'll have to read it. I spent 3 hours and I read it twice. But it quite unequivocally states that until you have a bachelor's degree or higher, and you participate in 5 years of social welfare work under a regulatory commission acknowledged by the Philippines government, you cannot apply to become a social worker or a distributor of social monies. Okay, so if that is the case, and I don't know law, but I read that, the way it's stated is that you have to go to school and get a doctorate or a bachelor's degree. And then you have to work in the field for 5 years before you can apply to become uh, a nonprofit organization for yourself. The school has to be accredited by a Philippines, the magistrate or the Philippines law. That's what it says. If you go and read it and you can find that I am incorrect, I would love for you to post it. But I went through the trouble of reading everything that, quote, Village People Philippines put on the screen. And I read it twice, and I have a basic memory to give you a synopsis of what it said. It said, unless you're a Philippines citizen and or an accepted government agency like the Red Cross, wherein if you became a Red Cross member to solicit goods, I mean to even distribute goods, solicit or distribute goods, the Red Cross or something similar in nature, Blue Cross, whatever, can only get a temporary license to solicit and distribute things. And that's if they abided by all the Philippines law. But an individual person needs to go to an accredited Philippines school, get a master's degree, or might have been a bachelor's degree, and or their doctorate, and then they can apply. After they get that, they go to work for some sort of corporation or charity center for 5 years, and after 5 years, they can apply for the license. So if you can find something that contradicts that before the end of the live stream, come back and place it on here. I'll give you the opportunity. This is an open discussion. I don't know the law. I don't profess to know the law. I'm never going to profess to know the law. I'm not even making a judgment on Terrence and Beth. I'm making a judgment on my case in America. And law in most countries is similar. My argument, after 7 years and 1,700 pages before the judge, I don't know how many times, meant nothing when the man who had the link right from day one posted the link and the title of the law that negates. And they went through the Lexus of law, and my lawyer was going through it. And he had a program. Personally, I think he was scamming me, but at the end of the day, he had to give me back my money, or most of it, so it wasn't as bad as it sounded. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go on to the next question. Antonio, it's a good question. Not going to say it wasn't a good question. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go back up to your comment, wherever you are. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. So what his lawyer is going to state, I have no idea. This is all opinion. You have an opinion? I just discussed my opinion about your opinion. Okay, excuse my typos. No, Jack, I don't. One thing I don't. Even Antonio was his sentence structure is doesn't make it easy for me to understand what he said. It probably wouldn't be a higher level I am guilty of the same thing. So I don't accuse people. I don't critique people for sentence structure or word spelling. Okay, excuse me. Everything is a freaking production in the Philippines. That's why I stay out of the scope of the law here. And I mean, I do everything above board. The other day, I woke up to 25 police. Daisy, how many police were out there? 5, I don't know. About, it was hard to tell. They were all scrambling about. 25 police. Within a few minutes, we're all looking at my house and surrounded it. Turned out to be an interesting day. Had nothing to do with me, but it was an interesting day. So, all right. So, Oravan, New York City, East Harlem. I used to hang out in the Bronx. I never hung out in East Harlem. I gotta tell you, I went to a couple of shows up there, George Carlin, and at the Apollo Theater. I used to go up there to go to a show, but it wasn't like someplace I would just slip onto a corner and hang with the brothers. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening. How are you this evening? Well, it's evening in West Tennessee. Cody Roller. Wow, Tennessee. I just spent quite a bit of time with somebody from Tennessee. I won't tell you his position, but I just spent quite a bit of time with that gentleman, and we had a great time. Completely disinterested. There's my friend Anthony. Good morning. Good evening, Anthony. How is Chicago? How's Chicago doing? Anthony is a janitor in a building in Chicago, what they call Chirac. I don't know how he does it. Okay. And he is also a member of my Patreon account. So we have at least 2 that I have seen members of my Patreon account, which my link is on the description box. If you'd like to help out and have these videos continued, you're welcome to it. Bob Robert, here we go. We have an opinion. Bob Robert, it is my opinion, comma, that they clearly acted contrary to the law regardless of their intent. Their future in the Philippines, pursuant to the decisions of the board, the court, or even the president. Okay, so I think he meant that their future lays in the hands of the Philippines court, law, and even the president. And that he might very well get involved, Mr. Duterte, which is something I'm going to talk about, getting involved with Philippines law. That's why I say this is all speculation. As a foreigner, don't get involved with Philippines law. I mean, Philippines politics. Now, we're just discussing the law as it applies to a foreigner in the Philippines. The outcome is not necessarily etched in stone. It's going to be up to the board, the court, or the president. So whatever the law is, the decisions that are made can be overturned by the law depending on their findings. Now, Terrence and Beth, I told Daisy, 2 weeks ago, that in order for them to come up to par with their documents, they would have to hire. I don't leave comments on Terrence and Beth. I very rarely watch their videos. I just watched maybe 4 in the last month. In order for them to come up to compliance, what they call come up to par or comply with the law, they'd have to hire an accountant. And 2 days later, they made a video that somebody's going to give them an accepted government, an accountant to account for their books. So that might make a determination also. But believe me, I have been through this. I have been through a case 7 years in the court system, 4, 5, 6 times a year. And then all the reading I did about law and argument, and the judge could have overturned the law because I had a valid argument, and he didn't. He did not. Okay. My argument would have been valid in any justice court, any court of law that followed justice. The wall encroached on my property almost 2 meters. It wasn't more than 10 years before I filed claim to take the property back. The woman admitted that the wall was illegally placed on my property. I even had a document stating that. But when it went to court, the law was the law. Okay, so Bob Robert has a good opinion. Now, it's an opinion, and I happen to side with his agreement, his opinion, because it's going to be up to the court, the Philippines government, whatever their justice system is, and maybe the president might get involved. I don't know, but that's a good opinion. Warren H. Hello, Michael and Daisy. We are both doing well today, Warren. Daisy is. What are you doing, honey? Come over and say hello.
Hello. Good morning. What? In the Philippines.
Baby. All right, so good morning, Warren. Now, Oravan, Philippines education does not mean squat in the USA. You will have to go back to school and start all over again. So, what reference is this to exactly? What is this reference to? See, you people just post this stuff in the comments section, and you think that there's no reference to what you're talking about. Did you preface this with something that I missed? I'm in the City Island now. So now you're giving where your City Island, the City Island. I bet you if you Google that, there's 200 of those on Earth. So you could be in City Island in New York City, where they have the restaurants, or you could be any one of 100 other city islands, because you didn't even include what city or state you're in. I'm going to have to bypass your comments. If you wish to say something, give us a reference to what you're saying, please. I'm going to be lawyer-like today. Okay? Okay. Slim Jim, there's another one of my long-term subscribers and Patreon member. Thank you, Slim Jim. Yeah, I don't, at this point, Google has me so suppressed. It's beyond recognition. People with 1,500 subscribers get 5 times the view counts as I do, with 20,000, 17,000 YouTube subscribers and 3,000 Google. So thanks for posting that. These people, most of them are not intelligent enough to find the up button. You have to understand, this is YouTube. Some of them Friday night are drunk. Some of them are high. Some of them are burnt out from being drunk and high for the last 45 years. Some of them did too much acid. Some of them just don't have an education. That like button is very, very, very small, like their brains. So they're basically not able to find the like button. They can find the dislike button fast enough when I say stuff like I just said, because that's the truth. They don't like the truth, but to push the like button, that's something altogether, because they don't like the truth. They dislike the truth, so they give it a thumbs down. And they're all number one. You know that, right? But thanks. Rich Seems. All right, so Rich Seems, okay, now this is in, quote, Village People Philippines documented. What she did is she copied the whole law. Why she knows where to find the law? Ask her. So, but she copied the whole law. And income tax was a major part of soliciting funds, because what I stated before you can collect or solicit funds, I'll say it again for the people that just joined. Before a foreigner in the Philippines, aka Terrence and Beth, according to the law that is described on a Village People Philippines law that they posted on their channel and made a video of the law. According to the law, you have to become. This is the part I forget. Either you have to have a bachelor's degree or a doctorate in social services. It has to come from an accredited institution acknowledged by the Philippines. So that 4 years or 6 years of your school has to be accredited by the Philippines. I'm not sure if a foreigner could get that. I don't remember that part about it. I understand the Red Cross can get it on a temporary basis. I think it was 2 years, temporary basement to do social welfare. But after you get your either bachelor's or doctorate in in the science of social welfare, after 4 years or 6 years of schooling, then you have to have a job for 5 years minimum before you can apply to become a collector and a distributor of funds for a nonprofit organization. That's pretty much what it says. So unless you went to school for 4 years in the Philippines or another accredited school, if there is one, and then you had worked in the field in the Philippines for 5 years for a corporation or entity that is acknowledged by the Philippines, you can't get your license. You can't get a license. I don't know what license Terrence and Beth applied for. I don't even know if it's the same license as if it discussed in Village People Philippines, because I don't remember it, and I only watched the video 2 weeks ago when they posted it. So whatever license they looking to acquire. Also, I read that Terrence explained that his license could take up to 2 years to process, but he was going to push that forward because of good deeds that he did for the neighbors. I don't know how that works. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know that the Philippines government cares. I have I have an analogy to the Philippines. I don't think the Philippines government cares what his argument is. To be honest, that's my opinion. I have been going to an immigration office for several years. The person behind the counter used to give the numbers out to wait online, and now he's behind the counter. Days you get my wallet is someplace else. There's a little piece of paper that you get if you want to have a 33% discount on your immigration. I'm going off topic here for a minute. The little piece of paper, it's a little bigger than this bill folded in half, just a little bigger than this. Okay. And it's a claim check. It doesn't have a number on it. It just has your name. Doesn't have your passport number on it or anything like that. And you have to, well, it may have a number. Okay. But either way, your name, and it may have a number. I could be wrong about that because I didn't even look at it yesterday when I found it. It may have a number, but they give you a claim check now. When you want to get a discount, you're going to get a 33% discount on your immigration papers by stating when you walk up to the window for the first time, I wish to not be in the express lane. You give them your passport, they give you a piece of paper. It's the same piece of paper that if you don't say, I don't wish to be in the express lane. No different. One paper is no different than the other. The difference is if you don't state that you don't wish to be in the express lane, you don't get the discount. You can't go back up to the window after you fill out the paper and say, I wish to be in the non-express lane. You didn't say it the first time. You have to say it the first time. Those are the rules. It's on the window, somewhere on the window. Okay, it's on, and then the guy points to the plaque, the piece of paper in number 15 font, very small letters. You have to state it first. So after doing it several times, he knows I do it all the time. I forgot to tell him 2 times ago, 6 months ago, and he charged me the full price, even though he knows me, even though he knows that's how I processed my passport to save 33%. So last time I lost my receipt. I didn't lose it. I put it in with my receipts for the month. I keep receipts here in the Philippines for my accountant in America. But I lost. I thought it was lost. In fact, I even thought I threw it out. But he said you have to give me the receipt. I said, well, you know who I am. He goes, I know who you are. Those are the rules. Now, was he polite? You know, he was cordial, but wouldn't go so far as to say he was polite. Those are the rules. So I said, okay, so let's say I don't have the receipt. Very nice, no argument. Don't argue with the people at immigration. Don't raise your voice and don't get snotty with them. Telling you now, I didn't, and you shouldn't. He said, take this piece of paper, a new one, and bring it to the lawyer's office next door. So I said to the gentleman, how much do you think that'll cost? And he didn't know. Even though the office doors are 8 inches apart at the back of the office, he didn't know what the fee would be. I walked out, and another man in the hallway said 1,000 pesos. So if you don't have the receipt, the penalty is you have to go to the lawyer next door, and he has to fill out an affidavit that I'm Michael Fazio. By taking my identification that I have in my wallet, he says I'm Michael Fazio. He charges me 1,000 pesos. Even though my identification says I'm Michael Fazio and I need my identification to pick up my passport, and my identification validates my passport information, even though they know me for 5 years, those are the rules. And I just went home and looked for the paper and found it. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't know that the judge or, oh, Daisy, wait, let me finish this. Jeez, I know you want to do this. I don't know that the judge is going to take into account Terrence and Beth's, and that is argument. I don't care what anybody says. He can't quote law stating that he didn't have a license and he's soliciting funds, and that's okay. He can even bring to the justice of the peace, the judge, whatever they call the arbitration. They say, don't open that up till we show them that we have something special we want to show you. So he doesn't have a piece of law that says because one of the members on the panel that's going to review his case said it's okay, we have your back. There's no law that says that the final appeal on the case or the final outcome of the case is that the person said don't worry about it and said don't worry about it and we're going to be at your back, and the law might come back and say nobody can overrule the law. The law is the law. Unfortunately, the law is the law. Okay, so okay. All right, so let's go back to this. Income tax would be owed, Rich seems, income tax would be owed on all the donation money that came in due to the fact that there was no real business or official charitable foundation. That would be easy enough to trace the totals. In America, I'll give you the rules on back taxes. It's taxed at 50% yearly. So let's just say, I don't know how it is here. I'm just giving you American. I never owed taxes in my life. I never was late. One time I was late. We had a hurricane. Okay, so my taxes were in disarray. I was working 16, 17 hours a day for 3 months. So I was late with my taxes for a couple of days, and I owed, it was $45 I owed from something. And after the year, it turned out to be like $90. Even though it's all, I think I said only 50%. Somehow oh no, it wasn't just that year. It was, I didn't see it the following year. Somehow I got to know, whatever it was, I think I owed $92 when I paid it. So $45 turned into $92 in 370 days, whatever it was. So that was almost 100%, a little more than 100% for whatever reason. So it could be, but I remember it being a minimum of 50%, maybe, I don't know why, but it was double what I owed. And it was no big deal. I paid it. But I don't know what the Philippines, and if this is just my opinion, if if the Philippines government decides that the money's collected from wherever, including the videos where he has the Balabayan boxes, Balikbayan boxes, including the Balikbayan boxes, they could look at those videos and get a determination of what the value is. The Philippines government could put a penalty of 50% on what they base their opinion on. I went through this also. I was going to bring a container of goods from America. Philippines government decides what the goods are worth. You don't. You give them a list when the item was built, how old the tool is, how much the original price of the tool. If you bought it on sale, that doesn't count. And then they look at it. It would have took me 3 months to itemize the stuff I wanted to bring to the Philippines. And then they would have made a determination. It would be no more than 100% of the initial value for certain things, and mostly 50% of the original value for tools and big pieces of equipment that I had. But it's up to the Philippines government to determine what the value of my goods were. Even though at a garage sale, I had at minimum $250,000 in goods I wanted to put into a container. So I could have been charged, but at a garage sale, they wouldn't be worth $20,000. The Philippines government could say the original price of this was $250,000, so we're gonna put a 50% import fee on your goods, and it would have owed them another $125,000 on top of whatever it costs to ship. I wouldn't pay $250,000, just their determination of 50% of the initial value of the tools when they were new. So I went through this even yesterday. I wanted to send out my GoPro camera to America. I sent Balikbayan boxes to the Philippines for $55. I wanted to send my GoPro Hero 5 camera that weighs 4 ounces to America. They wanted $60 to ship it from the Philippines to America. I don't know that I'm going to do it. But they determine what they want, how much they want. It's not reasonable. It's not a fair price based on a Balabayan box coming to the Philippines for $55 and to ship back that's 50 kilos, by the way. 49.9 kilos is $55. But 4 ounces going back to America is from LBC, 2,500 pesos. From DHL, 3,000 pesos. $60 to ship a 4-ounce camera that's broke back to Scott Del Fuego, a Patreon member of mine. And I didn't have his phone number, so I couldn't ship it. And you have to buy a box to put it in. The box was only $1. But they have rules here. They don't care about what your opinion is. They may not care what Terrence and Beth's opinion is. They may care. They may say, well, they're not going to look at this case and say, we don't want to cause ruffles. Terrence and Beth did a great thing. And so we're going to give them a pass. I don't think they're going to do that. That's my opinion. And I don't think they're going to do that is because then everybody is going to start applying for a license. They might just very well make an example out of Terrence and Beth. I don't think that would be reasonable, but neither is $60 to ship a 4-ounce camera back to America. But those are the rules. And you people standing here sticking up for Terrence and Beth, I know how you are. I've read over 10,000 comments on Terrence and Beth's videos. It doesn't matter what you think. The government doesn't care what you think. The government isn't even going to care that all the people send all those letters, the love letters to the government. They may just say the law is the law, and that's it. It's over. And they may not. I don't care either way. I didn't break the law. I don't have a dog in the show. But what I do understand is what law is in America, and I'm just relating my opinion and my argument as to what the Philippines government is capable of vis-a-vis not stating that I want the discount up front, man knowing me for 4.5 years, knowing I asked for the discount, and because I forgot to tell him, and I do it the same way every time, he just charged me an extra 30%, and I ate it like a man. Because don't argue with the people at the Philippines immigration. That's one thing that I could honestly say I never did. I got upset, but I never said anything to them about it because it's not allowed. And now more so. It's on there's a placard, piece of white paper, 8.5 by 11. Do not curse or get upset in this office, or you may be blacklisted from the Philippines. And it's right above the window. So if you don't read it, that's your problem. I'm going to move on to the next comment. One Oreo cat. So his Rich seems, going back to Rich seems, his money could be taxed on 50%, could be taxed at 100% here in the Philippines. It could be compounded daily from 4 years ago. It could be anything the government decides. Elena Dick from Chicago. Okay, Elena Dick from Chicago. Okay, Oreo Cat says, Elena Dick from Chicago. Yes, they solicit money from their subscribers. They are scammers, wrenching you from Chicago, watching you from Chicago, Illinois. Now, see, if we took a consensus here of, I just looked at the thumbs up. Wow, we got from 6 to 18. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm not much of a thumbs up or thumbs down. I have watched several thousand videos, and I have given 5,000 videos thumbs up on my channel. None of them, most of them are other, well, 90% are other people's channel. If I like a video, I give it a thumbs up. I never give it a thumbs down. It doesn't mean anything to me. Oh, I'm giving you a thumbs down. Maybe 2 or 3 times I gave thumbs down in the last 5 years. But thanks for the thumbs up. Okay, so that's her opinion, Oreo Cat's opinion. They are scammers, and she's watching me from Chicago, Illinois. And people that have followed Terrence and Beth have their opinions, and it can't be proven one way or another. But if I was to say to all 42 people watching this live stream right now, what are your opinions? Most people are not going to put their opinions on the board, and that's understandable. You're afraid of the Google monster, okay? And that's okay. You know, not everybody was born with giant it looks. Okay, Antio War, I understand the law, Mike. I read it also, Mike. I was referring to your statement of argument versus law. Okay. I would have to go up and... Okay. No, I'll go up. It'll only take a minute. Let me see if I can find that comment. Hold on. I'm going to look at your comment and see what that is in reference to, if I can find it. Antonio what? Okay, that's all the way down there. How can you say argument when Terrence is not saying what the defense is going to be? He stated that he is not saying what the lawyer is putting forward. What he is saying on his channel. See, you left the sentence in midair here, Antio. What he is saying on his channel personally. What he is saying on his channel is personal, should be determined as personal. I couldn't understand your statement the first time, and I actually still don't understand it for the second time. But, okay. All right. So let me go back up to this. All right. Well, we got a lot of... Antonio, okay, so I found I understand the law, Mike. I read it also. I was referring to your statement of argument versus law. Okay, I spent 7 years understanding that. So If I'm mistaken about what happened to me, I don't think so. But your opinion is okay here. This is an open discussion. That was City Island in the Bronx. Spent a lot of time there. Actually, I owned a crane on that island that picked up boats for a 75-ton crane for a long time, electric crane. Brandon Cano, that's an important question. Are they putting up the 5G network in the Philippines? I would imagine they are. I see towers with lots of antennas. And my reception and everybody else's reception on Wi-Fi is not good. So I would imagine they're going straight to 5G. The only thing that saves me is there's a huge building next door, and it would block that out from the line of sight to the antenna, but they're putting it up. I think they are. Hello from Minnesota. Brandon, no, we have two Brandons in a row. Brandon Beckerstrong. Good. Hello from Minnesota. Hello from the Philippines. All right, Daisy, you want to show that thing?
Yeah.
Somebody can't find the like button. You see, you know why you can't find the like button, Mr. Is Story Yahi? Let me tell you why you can't find the like button. I'll explain it the way my father explained it to me. In life, you're going to meet people with large amounts of information in their head. Some of them have common sense, and some of them don't. But also in life, you're going to meet people with very small brains. And what happens is the brain is so small, like the size of a pea. And around that pea inside your head, to keep your brain from falling out of your ear, a brown, stinky, smelly substance accrues on that pea, kind of like a pearl. And that fills up your head. Okay. So basically, my father was saying that that brown, stinky substance was attached to the brain that's only the size of a pea for people like you who can't find the like button. And that pea is surrounded by, you could call it bullshit. And so your head is this big and your skull might be this thick. And then there might be that much more room inside your skull, but only this big is the P that represents your brain. So everything between this and this is bullshit. And that's why you can't find the like button. You can thank Captain Thomas Fazio for those words of wisdom. I'm going to have to catch up things, honey. Do you want to show that stuff, and we'll show them the aftermath of that when we have lunch? Jack Thompson says, "Hey Daisy, love us, love." Okay, Chuck found I'm in West Virginia, and you are on. And are you on the warpath yet? No, but I'm pretty sure I'll be there soon. Thank you. You notice my hat for today's conversation? While I was discussing Terrence and Beth's situation in the Philippines, I was walking down the beach with the corporate lawyer who's developing real estate in the Philippines that told me my understanding of law and argument was correct. And this hat was laying in garbage. I mean, seaweed, slime, sand. It was laying in a wash coming from a foundation washout where they were pumping out the foundation. Notice the first three letters, Converse. Now, this is like a $25 or $30 hat. It even is a Converse hat in real life. It's a Converse hat. So while I'm discussing the possibility of not so above board rulings, I find this hat. To me, this is a sign not from God, but what controls the universe while I'm having the conversation with the corporate lawyer. that told me my understanding of argument, quote, argument, and quote, law is pretty much correct. I found this hat. Daisy, where did I find the hat? When did
The
I?
beach.
When and who was I talking to? Not the name, but who was I talking? You could put the name, yeah. When we were looking at the building at the end, remember we went to the end of the island? Yeah, and he's the guy building the condominiums?
Yeah.
Okay, so while I'm discussing corporate law, law with this guy, and then he tells me while I'm discussing my argument, because he asked me about Terrence and Beth, I told him my opinion. He goes, "You're absolutely right." I said, "How would you know?" He goes, "I'm a corporate lawyer." So he's a corporate real estate slash uh, helps the government out with contracts between the government and school projects. He built 142 schools for the United States government, government projects. So he would know the law. So I'm not on the warpath yet, but that could happen at any moment. Okay, Rich, anytime money comes into the picture, does all the red tape. Pretty sure he meant so does all the red tape. I understand you're working from a cell phone. It's hard to get your sentence structure. I even understand some words disappear, but try to double check your grammar so that we don't have to guess what you're thinking, because I can't guess what you're thinking. Completely disinterested. You've been one of my longest and best subscribers. I wish I could do more for you. I keep telling you to post your videos on my channel and you don't do it. Maybe you forget. Maybe you think it's some kind of. I'm one of the only people on YouTube, by the way. So you can get this right with all these schmucks on YouTube. I'm the only person on YouTube that actually states, please post your videos on my channel to help your view counts. All the rest of these schmucks on YouTube think that an extra 1,000 views that you make $1 on is going to make a difference in their life. They're a bunch of selfish little bastards. That's what they are, selfish little bastards. If I want to post a link on most of my friends' channels, they let me. I just don't. But I offer people with very few subscribers. I help Village People Philippines many times. And I also help one lonely farmer, and he has 125,000 subscribers. Why? Because I like those people. And if I like you, that counts. If I don't like you, you don't account for nothing more than a fart in the wind. Unless you get in my face. And then we're going to have a problem. So here we go. Daisy. Daisy's going to show you something that she bought the other day when we were in Alona Beach. I will be the one. Okay. Daisy is dying for me to die. Okay, this is 2 times spicy. The 2 times spicy challenge. Okay? And this is what it is. It's Korean, you said? Hot chicken flavored ramen. Now, I can't imagine how hot this stuff could possibly be that it would bother me. Daisy says people go insane.
Yeah.
So you're going to cook this, right?
Yeah, outside.
Why outside?
It's hot in here.
I'll put the aircon on. Shut the window, honey. Yeah, shut the window. I'll put the aircon on. It's getting hot for me too.
No, it's cool.
Okay. All right, I'm going to put the aircon on so any background. So Daisy is going to cook this 2 times spicy. Don't put the package of the powder in until we're right here. We'll do it on video so they know we got the whole thing. We're going to have lunch. You're going to watch us melt. Okay, so.
Try to boil the water.
Yeah, you boil the water, honey. Use the, yes. Okay, and anti-war. Didn't donations, okay, so we're going to have some more commentary. Your questions were good and valid. I just have trouble discerning what you mean exactly. Didn't donations that Terrence got came from out of the country through the internet? Okay. So I'll reread it the way didn't donations that Terrence received come from out of the country through the internet? Not all, to answer your question, quite honestly. Some of them were people visiting his place of residence and giving him monies. I think for his birthday, but I know someone that went to his home personally right after they left my house, and um, I don't know if they gave them money or at in person or they donated it through a channel, but they sent Terrence and Beth to the Waterview Hotel in in Cebu. Now I don't know where those funds came, but I do remember Terrence and Beth saying that people that come to see them help them out and help out the children. So the answer to your question is no, not all. Most probably, but no, not all. So are we now to understand that the Philippines has a right to money made on the internet? Yes, I would say. When it comes to soliciting funds for charity organizations, that part was in, quote, Village People Philippines video, that any monies collected for charity organizations, some people call it non-governmental organizations, any monies that come once you become whatever it is that you become, a charity organization, have to be accounted for. Yes, there's a reason for that. This way, and the reason for any monies coming from anywhere into the organization has to be accounted for is because as an organization, the Red Cross, for instance, this is the rule, and I'm not making this up. This is a fact, so you can go check this. The Red Cross collects $1,000 in donations. They're only responsible for giving out 9% to charity organizations. All the rest can be the coverage of the cost of the trucks, overhead for the buildings that they in, storage for the products that they distribute, gasoline, insurance for the trucks, insurance for damages done with their trucks. All that 91% can be used for personal benefits. In America, the Red Cross. Clothes donations in New York City. A friend of mine owns 26 trucks, 5,000 bins. He only has to distribute, he only has to give 7%. Cabbage, vegetable, or only sure, that'd be great. That is just going to add some cabbage to that 2 times spicy. So my friend only has to give 7% of his total donations into his corporation to charity, back out to the charity. Only 7%. All the rest of the clothes, he has 5,000 clothespins. You see a clothespin in New York City, my friend owns it. Well, childhood friend. We don't have much to do with one another now, but he might very well be watching this video at some point during the week. But he only has to give 7%. So the Philippines probably has another percentage that has to be given out to charity. Doesn't mean that Terrence and Beth have to give out 100%. They're entitled to keep some of their monies for operating costs. But some of it came most of it came over the internet, I'm sure, but some of it did come, according to Terrence and Beth's video, if it's still up, that I saw, that people came to his place and lived there and helped the poor. Now, whether they helped the poor through Terrence and Beth or they gave it directly, I don't know. I'm not Terrence or Beth. But it would be interesting to know what the percentage is. And I would gather that if you went to Village People Philippines video, I would gather that they could tell you what the answer to that question is. That woman knows the law. Why don't you go over there now and go over there now and pose the comment to Village People Philippines. What percentage of the profits has to go to charity? And if she reads it, she'll answer you. I don't know Philippines law. I don't want to know Philippines law. I was in my lawyer's office and the judge's office for 7 years. They have 1,000 books on the shelf. Each book is a couple of 500 pages, and even the judge has to go look at the law. He doesn't know what the law is either. Don't think the judges know all the laws. They have to look at the law, and then they have to go on the Nexus Lexus program, look it up. Nexus Lexus Law program costs about $5,000 to buy the program, and that gives you cross references for law to save you from reading the books. But it's $5,000 for that program. So I don't know what the law is. I don't want to know what the law is, and I doubt very much they have a Nexus Lexus program for Philippines law, because the Philippines just doesn't work like that. Great Britain, they don't care about the nun. Great point. The nun was doing I might have watched a video on that, but I probably did not. But I did read about the nun, and they didn't care about a nun doing charity work. No, I think it was her political opinion. Okay, I think that's what it was. The nun had a political opinion that differed from the Philippines' political policy, and they threw her out. I think that's what I remember. I could be wrong about that, because that's something I wouldn't follow. A Brit in the Philippines, all right, Dole Run Ridge, a Brit in the Philippines mentioned this yesterday, that their application was denied last year. And that I read. I don't remember all the details. See, I don't remember. If it has to do with me, I'm 99% better at remembering details than it has to do with something I'm interested in or somebody I don't care about. I'm interested in this topic because actually I wanted to do that 4 years ago. When I first got here, I wanted to be, what do they call it, a knight in shining armor, you know, the Lone Ranger, and giving out stuff to the